Hi everyone, this is your favorite friend Jay or Jaylan Salah as you formerly know her. Today I have the pleasure of interviewing director Scott Dale on his feature Subservience, which is great modern sci-fi thriller that has Megan Fox as an AI android. Okay, first of all, I gotta say I love the originality so much, but also if there's someone more beautiful than her, I mean, how did the casting process go, Scott? When you have Megan Fox, whom I adore, playing this robotic creature. I just want to know more.
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you for having me on. It was an interesting process in terms of the casting because, I had finished a feature with her already, and I wasn't necessarily thinking about her as we were prepping this film. But suddenly, when her name, came up, I started thinking about Jennifer's body and thinking about this kind of darker character arc that we have there. And then that excited me. I was like, oh, we haven't seen, this kind of badass version of Megan for a while. So the idea of getting to kind of see her put on those boots again was exciting. And I think ultimately, when we put together this idea of Megan and Michele, when we announced it, the internet, there was kind of a storm there of excitement to see those two on camera together. But yeah, it was an interesting kind of process, and it's something where I look back and I'm like, oh, I don't know why I didn't think of her like straight away. But when she first came to mind, that idea of Jennifer's body was really a big kind of proponent in getting her on board.
Okay, so your wife has a child, and you immediately start thinking about womanhood and motherhood. And I love this so much because I feel men should be more informed on motherhood. Like they should ask more, they should seek more. So I want to know, why did it baffle you? Why did the concept get inside your brain that you wanted to learn more or even just tackle it?
So you just cut out that last bit. Say that again.
Okay, why did the concept intrigue you this much? Motherhood.
Oh well, yeah. The concept, and I'll say, like, April and Will wrote the script, and when it came to me, there was a moment that I really fell in love with it, where it was this where the mother kind of returns home to find her, now this AI kind of taking her role. And that to me was like, oh, that's the core element. What happens when technology starts to replace the family unit? Where do we go from there? And so that excited me to explore this kind of sci-fi world through the lens of this kind of intimate lens of this family. So that was a big aspect to it. The other thing in terms of the concept itself, like sci-fi as a filmmaker is just so exciting to me. It's like how can I say no to that? But also, it just felt like it had all these other genres that I loved. It kind of plays with the thrillers, the horror, even the erotic thriller and all that kind of stuff. It's kind of all melted together in this
Very fatal
exciting kind
attraction.
of roller coaster. Uh, Yes, yeah, yeah, exactly. Unfaithful was a really big one for me, and in fact, I remember watching it and going, "Oh, we just need an incredibly handsome Frenchman to be the role here," because my wife was so forgiving of that affair because of how incredible he was,
You
and
know,
we
for
ended
us,
up getting an incredibly handsome Italian man. So it was pretty close.
definitely. I can tell. Wow. Okay, so how did you get the chemistry going between Megan and Michelle? It's just amazing.
Sorry, how do we get them together? Is that the
The
question?
chemistry, exactly, the chemistry flowing between them because they were
Yeah.
amazing together.
Yeah, it's important to, especially as you get up when you're scheduling these intimate scenes, is to not have them so soon in the shooting schedule. So there was a process of kind of like, shooting the scenes where they're kind of interacting and everything, and building up that, rapport and that friendship there, especially because when you get to those scenes, you want it to feel, as safe and comfortable as possible for everyone. So there was a matter of, laying that out. I actually, it's interesting because you feel that chemistry. It works really well and it comes across. But that was, it's not necessarily like an improvised situation. We had like storyboarded that, and we had like a lot of discussions into that. We really treated it as any, all the other action sequences in terms of this is the narrative structure we have, down to the point of like, would she kiss here? Wouldn't she kiss? Why, if she did kiss, how would that be? And it's really kind of like a fun process to discuss this and how it would, what's coming from a character's point of view, what would they do, and all this kind of stuff. So playing into that was really fun. And then on top of that, we kind of, without giving too many spoilers, we kind of do a little bit of an intercutting aspect to this that, allowed us to kind of add another level of emotion and another level of guilt that will kind of hit in later on, by having, this other actress kind of be in the scene as well. So that was a fun, that only kind of popped up maybe a week before shooting. I had that idea and had to pitch it to Madeline Zimmer, but she was really excited to go for it and do it.
Okay, because the film asks a lot of questions about what is human. Do you think Alice is less human than Nick, than Maggie?
I think, I mean, when I think of AI as well, like I don't know if I think of it as like not human. I kind of think of it as like more of an infant, like, or learn, the way its learning process is and everything. It's quite childlike. And I don't know if you've ever had a conversation with like ChatGPT, but it's like it's such an interesting thing where you can ask it some questions and it will give you these really technical answers that are like really great, but then it will kind of like do it in a way where you're like, well, no human would ever think that these two things are connected or whatever it is. It's like it is this kind of like child's mind with this like, but a super intelligent way. So I kind of think about that when I think about Alice. I think about those little aspects of it, and I always felt like she was becoming somewhat self-aware throughout the process. So I thought she was becoming more human in a darker way towards the end. I
A
mean,
psychopath
you know,
human,
and
the worst
it's
of
and
what
it's
we have to
interesting because
offer.
it's kind of fun to hear where if audience thinks there's a sense of jealousy there, or what is her core emotion in terms of where she's coming from towards that last act is kind of interesting to play with. But yeah, it's I look, I think ultimately I tried to kind of say to myself, what is it that you know that we have over AI, and the family unit and the ability to kind of love and the emotional connection there was what felt apparent. And so I was utilizing those elements um to be the family unit. You have to kind of stick together in order to overcome this, and having this AI technology try and divide and conquer. So they were the two things, but I mean, it's AI is just such a, a rabbit hole to go down.
You're so true. You're right. I can't think about it without getting afraid, honestly. Okay.
It is.
So
It's
what I want,
terrifying. It's terrifying in some ways, that's for sure.
definitely, definitely, because oh my God. Okay, but this movie kind of made me question it a lot. It didn't just make me question AI, but the idea itself of, are we demonizing the femme fatale? Because for some reason, I loved Alice. I think it's probably because she played her with such serenity, unlike femme fatales of the past, where you see, like, I want to know, how did you direct her? Like, how did you direct Megan? Because she played her with such calm serenity, unlike, you would see your femme fatale and she's overt and she's amazing. I love them, but I loved her take on this too. So I want to know your direction.
Yeah, look, we early on we were discussing what that performance would be, because I always felt like it was a fine line between being too robotic and showing enough emotion for those intimate scenes to kind of work, and for them not to completely fall through and become comical or anything like that. But she early on had this idea of being a ballerina and having her movements be slow and precise. And I
Wow.
think that informed, yeah, that formed the rest of her performance in terms of her voice, the softness of it, you know, even the monotone thing, the emotionless element to it. Like it was all kind of came from this physicality that she had kind of brought to the set. And that was really exciting. For me, I was just trying to figure out ways to infuse emotion in certain scenes, like the Casablanca scene to me was a very important moment
I
to,
love this scene.
yeah, it is a catalyst of, yeah.
Definitely, it's a catalyst. Yes, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but it's a catalyst. It's an important
No,
scene.
no, no. That's no, yeah, it is, you know, and it was this kind of catalyst for her in terms of this humanization of her, or this, you know, we are seeing her experience something for the first time, and she does look at the, you know, the TV with this kind of childlike wonder, and we ended up, you know, sitting her, I think maybe like 2 feet away from that television to get Casablanca playing in her eyeball. So that was like a fun little shot that we got that I felt like, oh, this is exciting seeing Casablanca playing Megan Fox's eye.
It's the best. Okay, so before I finish this interview, which is awesome, I want to ask you, which was the most difficult scene to shoot? And it might be something I don't expect, like a long dialogue scene or a boring scene, but I don't know the most difficult.
Yeah, you know, the one that was most difficult is there is a bar sequence towards the end where we have Alice kind of arriving. And it was difficult for a few reasons. One was like finding her performance and seeing how much she could kind of glitch out and everything like that. That was very, you know, we tried different levels and all this. The other thing that made that really technically hard was the day we went to shoot it, Michele fell ill and went home, and we couldn't have him on board to shoot that. So we shot all of Alice's sides with a stand-in, and there's a lot of physical movements, there's hands grabbing and all this kind of stuff. So we had to, yeah, we shot that, and then we had to come back 2 weeks later to shoot all Michele's side, but we had wrapped with Megan by that stage, so we had her stand in. So it was this process of trying to make sure we were emotionally on a level. And it's a very emotional scene, particularly for Michele's character here. But you know, there's certain movements at certain times that, you know, we needed to get right and we needed to make work. And it's one of my favorite scenes to watch, knowing the trauma that we that we went through to make that work. But yeah, and also it's like one of the scenes where I love the visual effects the most, and all this kind of, like, I think everything kind of works so well in that scene. And it was such a headache and a challenge to do it, but they're the ones that you feel the most fulfilled by the end.
This is a great film. I had so much fun talking to you, Scott. Thank you very much for opening your heart to me. I love this film. Can't wait for the world to see it. Subservience. What a lovely film. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.